Wish I would have known. Hi, and thank you for joining the Wish I Would Have Known podcast, or as we like to call it, WIWHK. I'm your host, Troy Vera. I'm inspired by the variety of surprise twists and turns that people have taken in their careers, and will continue inviting them to share their stories with you. Our guests represent diverse lines of business. You'll meet social workers, symphony musicians, racehorse owners, radio personalities, human resources leaders, commercial real estate lenders, filmmakers, and school principals, just to name a few. Join us and hear what has worked for them and what might just spark a fire in you. This podcast, as always, is going to be a conversation between friends and peers, nothing too crazy or fancy. We'll be sharing life's experiences in the interest of helping you grow and succeed in your current or even a new career field. Today's guest is Tony Cohn, and they're going to talk to us today about their career journey as an affiliate marketer. Take it away, Tony.
Hey, what's up, everyone? So my name is Tony, and I've been in the affiliate marketing space for a long time. I want to say like 15 years, something like that. I never thought I would end up in this space. Like, I didn't know what it was, and it was kind of a strange thing. But just through my schooling to different kind of interactions with people, I ended up in this space, and it's been a really interesting career ride. In terms of affiliate marketing, that, in case you're not familiar with, it's basically advertisements all sorts of places. So you could see an advertisement when you're searching online. You could see advertisements when you're at the airport, billboards, everything. And it's all about how people promote those ads, and companies use affiliate marketing to get the word out and expand their reach. Yeah, it's been a strange journey. And currently I work for a company called Everflow. And so Everflow is a partner marketing platform. So basically what that means is that we allow someone to go on there and really manage all of your advertising channels in one location, including your affiliate marketing. It's been a fun ride. I'm here to talk about it and share my experiences.
Excellent. When you're not hard at work, crunching the numbers and moving the levers, what makes life interesting for you?
Gosh, I'm a big baseball person, so I'm always into the Mets, and I this year was a great season for us, and I was very happy with how it turned out. Very unexpected, so that's kind of a passion of mine. And running, I love to run, so usually I'll have to run after the Mets blow a game or something. I'll have to run and kind of get the frustration out. Yeah, I enjoy that, and just, I guess, hanging out with people, seeing new things and traveling and that sort of thing, and I guess most of the usual stuff people do. But yeah, that's kind of it for me.
Nice. Yeah, I remember when we met, this was back in 2006, through our wives. We were just fast friends and had something in common almost instantly. That's the thing about us creative types. We can sit down with somebody, get to know them a little bit, and then let things develop. We're sharing things with each other, and we learn something interesting or have a new experience or hear a recommendation for a restaurant, and it starts to get some good momentum, and that really dovetails into what you do every day. So who was an early role model in your life, either as an affiliate marketer or generally as a creative professional?
I would say that I worked for a company called AdSend Media before I worked at Everflow. And so at AdSend, there was a boss that I had. His name was Faison, and he was just super trusting and allowed me to expand my professional skills a lot. And so that was something that was big in my career, because basically the jobs I had before were kind of like, you have to do these certain tasks and you can't really deviate from them. And he allowed me to test new things. And if I came up with a concept, I could try it, I could execute it, and got to do a lot of different things with that. So when I started working in this company, I went from just attending a conference with them to like going to international advertising conferences, like in Barcelona, Germany, things like that. And I was allowed to create ideas and execute them. And that was just really awesome. And he was also super supportive. So he bought into everything that I would want to do. And he gave his support. And I think that was great. And super open. He discussed what's going on with the company, what's going on with everything. And so it was a great influence on me. I think not the earliest in my career, but I would just say overall, because I think that he allowed me to grow. And I think that's what you need, like in a boss or a superior. You need somebody to basically go in there and say, hey, I hired you for a reason and I want to let you do your job, but also I want to allow you to expand yourself and level up, so to speak. That's, I think, what he allowed me to do.
It's really rewarding to be able to have some open road, especially early in your career, to take some calculated risks. We know that we're playing with house money and we hate to lose, so we're really diligent about every penny that we spend. But sometimes you just want to say, I saw something, I thought of something, I need 6 months to try to get my feet underneath me on an idea or a trend that I heard about. can we or can I have the freedom to do that? And of course, regular check-ins and so on, you have the free reign to do that, own the success and share the results.
Yeah.
It's good that you had that. So as you gathered your knowledge, was there some sort of training or an online course that you might have, but that you just sort of sped on by because you were so driven or so determined to do something else? Maybe in hindsight, you wish you would have taken some more time and did a workshop or a seminar or some sort of training track. Is there something that would have benefited you a little bit better in hindsight?
Yeah, I mean, I would say going out of college, not having internship right out of college really hurt me. So I didn't realize how important that was. And I don't know how that is now, like if it's changed with how the world works. But back when I graduated, I had a degree in public relations. And so I did really well. And I was very successful in my studies and things like that. But like I couldn't get my first start in that base because people, they wanted sort of a proven body of work and that sort of thing. And I wish I would have done that while I was in school. I think that would have made things a lot easier. I had to go like a different route to get that experience. So I had to go into like the nonprofit space, and then I was allowed to do whatever task I had to do to get the job done, including like public relations stuff. But yeah, it was like that would have been big. And even if not even doing an internship, but just going to a company and being like, hey, can I just like learn what you do and maybe go to the office every once in a while just to see what you're doing? Anything you want to share is great. And just kind of being around those people. Because I think too that if you stick around, I think most of the time they will actually end up offering you the job, which is another thing too. And that's something that you don't, on the surface, it seems like it's really much a bummer to work somewhere and you're not getting paid and it's terrible and you have other stuff in your life. But if you can get in there and just associate with people, that makes a lot bigger difference. You connect with these people and you start these relationships that they'll start thinking of you when these needs come up. So I think that was a big thing for me. Like internships would have been super helpful.
Yeah, you develop that trust and a reputation within the walls.
Yep.
A lot of companies I worked with in the last 5 years have partnered with a college directly. So let's say the company I work for, we had a bunch of people from Vanderbilt University came on, and in our department, we had 3 interns. One worked with the events team, another worked with the content team, and then a third one worked with our ops team. And they had the immersive experience and the opportunity, but there were the little dotted lines around it. Okay, they're here for the next 6 weeks, and here's your 2 weeks with them, and there was time horizons of what we could do. And for me, I just turned it into an opportunity to mentor this person and gave them things that weren't just, here's how you do the job at our company. I taught them how you do the job in general. And that was really helpful. And I think in your case, you probably have the opportunity now to work with some of these young and hungry folks coming in. And you're not just going to give them for lack of a better term, the crap work. You're not just going to make them file and do a bunch of mindless data entry. You'll probably say, okay, here's the inner workings of data. Here's why it's important. Here's how you do this. Here's how you do that. And us as professionals now, I think we have less of a power trip, and we realize that it's an opportunity for them as much as it's an opportunity for us to share some of that leadership and be that next person in their march towards success.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I don't mind. One of my favorite things to do is I just give them shortcuts as far as getting started. They go somewhere and they're like, oh, it's the first time I've been to a networking event. I'll say like, well, here's what here's what you do. These are the do's and don'ts. Hey, you're going to go to a conference. I'll say like, these are the types of things you should do. And yeah, I mean, I feel like if you have the knowledge, you might as well share it versus just letting people figure these things out. And it's like, okay, you paid your dues, so to speak. You learned this lesson, but we should be open and allow people to try things and give them the guidance to get a faster start, and be better. So,
yeah, it doesn't really take anything away from us. And usually with an intern or even just a contractor, they're not somebody who is going to come in and take food off our plate. We have a chance of adding food to theirs for their future, or maybe even being brought on. So as an affiliate marketer or somebody in your career track, there's a lot of standard advice. You can look up checklists and listicles about what to do and what not to do. But in your specific career, what's a common nugget of knowledge that somebody might encounter, but they should just ignore it and do the opposite or adjust it a little bit? What's something in your mind that somebody should take it for what it's worth, but don't take it for everything?
That's a tough one. I would say not to be really into working at one location, thinking like, I have to work at this place. I have to do this. I have to this is my goal. This company is the greatest company. Like I've been studying them and I want to work with them. Like you don't have to do that. I think that the advice of anybody saying, hey, really be into a certain company and be passionate about it, that's great and that's useful. What I would say with that is just, you don't have to do that. You can find so many different opportunities by just being out and either going to events, networking, that sort of thing. And there's so many different avenues. When I started, I had no idea what affiliate marketing was. I had no idea what an affiliate platform was. Partner marketing is still something I've relatively new for me the last couple of years. And so I think that there's a lot of advice out there where people are saying like, hey, you need to, you really got to put everything behind what you're doing when you apply for a company, which is great. But I think in the end, your skills can be utilized in so many different facets and stuff you may not even realize. So, you could be somebody who's into writing and you could end up at writing and doing SEO for like a company that makes, bagels or something. There's so many different things that you can do that you might not realize are out there. And so kind of forcing yourself to fit into one type of company or one getting too zero in on a different company is not the best move.
Yeah, you run the risk of pigeonholing yourself and missing out on good opportunities. One of our other guests was talking about just the value of confidence and the power of yet. I don't know how to blank yet. At one point, I didn't know how to market healthcare software yet. I wouldn't have put myself in the position of healthcare software marketing, but I know how to build emails, where I work with data. So those generic scalable skills that we come across through the course of our career are just so valuable. Doesn't really matter what you swing your sword at, as long as you're sort of sharp, you're going to cut something good.
Yeah, exactly. And also there's different ways you can contribute that is fulfilling. I know that there's this whole philosophy that you have to do, you must work for the job. That's your passion. And it must be something that you're really into. And I think that kind of is always an advice that sort of lends you to think, okay, I want to work in like baseball, for example, for me, or I want to work in running or something. But you can find fulfillment helping your team succeed no matter what industry it is. And, I don't think about that stuff too much. Oh yeah, I wish I was working for the Mets or something, honestly, I enjoy helping our team right now and I enjoy the work I do. And yeah, you don't have to follow this train where it's like, this is my exact passion and I'm not going to be happy if I don't do it. Like you can find joy in all sorts of things.
I keep hearing a common thread through a lot of how you reference things, and running is a big part of your life. It's one of your hobbies, as you were talking about. I think when you do something that's difficult, run a half marathon or for some people, even a 5 or 10K is a journey off the couch. When you do something difficult otherwise, and then you have to sit down and perform a very mind-bending task, quarterly reporting or analytics or some sort of deep dive on something. I think it's beneficial for us to put things in that framework of, I can do difficult things. I'm not going to die. This is just a report, or this is just a campaign, or whatever. I think that gives us a good perspective.
Yeah, I use that a lot. I think when I'm in something that's really either tedious or just something that feels like, oh yeah, this call is not going to end, or this meeting's not going to end, or this is a challenging business situation. Like I always think like, well, I can handle this. I've ran up hills and I've run marathons, and it doesn't really I can survive that. And so, yeah, it's like you can draw on that for inspiration for sure.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, I've followed your road trips for business, and next thing you know, you're up 2 hours early around the streets of Barcelona, or checking in from such and such bridge in a foreign country. I think that's really neat that it gives you a different perspective. You don't just show up, check into the hotel, go down to the breakfast bar, go to the show, and you're like in this little loop, almost a box. You give yourself a chance to flex out, and I think that creates an interesting life.
Yeah, it's very fun. And I think it kind of gives you a new way to appreciate a city. So you can run through it and you can see different things. Like when I went to Seattle earlier this year, I ran around to all of the Nirvana's old spots where they played. And so I saw that. I ran by the baseball stadium, checked it out, ran by the football stadium. and then even did a little shopping while I was running, and then came back and met my coworkers. And it was nice to kind of explore the city. And yeah, I've been doing that for a while, and it's just been a great way to break up business trips and things like that. It's a nice way to get out there.
Awesome. So who in your daily life, sort of on Team Tony, is your biggest advocate?
I would say my wife, who she puts up with a lot of my strange qualities, but she's been great and she's always very supportive. It's funny because the stuff that I do is a lot less important than what she does because she's a nurse, and so it's more of it's a more critical, but she accepts my complaints about whatever I'm up to. And I like to I'm kind of like a curmudgeon, I think, in general. So, she listens to a lot of that, but she's always been my biggest fan. So that's been very, very beneficial.
Oh, good. Yeah. She's a wonderful person, and we are definitely blessed with our wives. So that's really cool.
Oh, yes.
So,
yeah.
We were talking earlier too about the personality of what makes you tick. What's something that you wish people knew about you? Nothing really, uncomfortable or hyper personal, but a hidden talent or skill or something about you.
That's a good question. I think I listen to a lot of strange music. I think that a lot of people don't realize, or kind of lesser known bands. And I think that it's funny because I always feel like, does anybody actually listen to these bands? Am I the only person? It's kind of I feel it's kind of strange. So I listen to a lot of different up and coming kind of rock or punk rock groups. That's something that's kind of different. I'm big into English fashion. So I love, Fred Perry. I love Paul Smith, Ben Sherman. I like the kind of smart casual dress style. And then, those are kind of two strange things about me, kind of unique things. And then I'm not too serious. So in terms of, I always feel like even if you're in a business meeting, or even if you're on a big call, you can always have a little bit of levity. I think that's great. And people are humans, and they need time to realize that, we're in these situations, but they don't always have to be the exact same. They don't always have to be so serious. So
that's a method a lot of people use, that a little out of the ordinary and sometimes unorthodox. And as long as you read the room and realize it's not going to make somebody storm out, especially, a really important client, those things can help establish you as somebody who's memorable, because they see a sea of faces, they get slide decks, they get handshakes, they get the cup of coffee. But if you can do something that sticks in their mind a little bit as, what, that Tony, he's a good guy. I'm going to take his email, or I'm going to take his call, or I'm going to answer his email because he made himself endearing to me. He wasn't just another face at the table.
Yeah, I agree, and it adds something memorable for sure. As long as you don't have to be somebody who's just constantly joking and getting too much, but you can always add a little bit to lighten things up. At right now where I'm at, I do, my Zoom backgrounds, for example, I'll put something up there at a past event and make a joke oh yeah, I'm still waiting for you guys to show up or something. And I feel like it's something that you need that kind of thing, because everybody's you spend so much time with these people, and you need a little bit of levity in it. So I'm all about that.
Be that good difference. What do you think is a common mistake that people tend to make, but you've addressed it, you've overcome it, and you've kind of resolved not to do it again?
I would say that you should always just kind of think about the lines that you kind of walking with the superiors on your team. So and if you go out with them, and even how friendly people can be, you just want to make sure that you realize that there's different levels of seniority, and you should always respect those. I think that that's something that can easily get blurred if you're, at an event and you've had a few drinks, or you're somewhere and you kind of think well, these people are friendly, and they are. Don't get me wrong, but there's also, they have different rules and responsibilities that they have to follow as well. So just make sure kind of okay, hey, these people are great, and they can, obviously I enjoy hanging out with them, but you just want to make sure those kind of lines, because I've just seen throughout my experience, people don't seem to know that, and they get kind of that could cost them their role or promotion or something. So just always make sure you kind of realize that even though everyone's friendly, which is part of the job, and it's great, just make sure that you respect the kind of boundaries that people have, and just talk to your superiors with respect and that sort of thing. It's very important.
Yeah, certain things are off limit, and even if they make a joke or somebody else works at the company who's known them for 15 years and can take a little rib punch at somebody, let them do it. You don't want to have
Yep.
a joke be a career limiting move or a CLM, because you have to go back to work on Monday morning and it could get really awkward really fast.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, even if I'm out with our team and even if the language is very colorful, I don't usually partake too much in that because, I'm like, I know that I can, but I'm not going to because there's just certain levels of kind of how you behave. And so, yeah, like I think that's super important.
There's an old saying about act like you've been there before.
Yep.
And then you get to be more places. They know that they can trust you. You're not going to embarrass them or maybe even put them into some legal hot water because of something you did or said. So just be that kind of person that people like to have around.
Yep, for sure.
So how would you describe your work language? Something for me, for instance, it's respect and recognition. So what's something that really speaks to you as a professional and gives you that feeling like they see me, they know me, they respect me?
Recognition is big, I think, because for a couple of reasons. The first is that working from home, which I've done for the last 15 years or something like that, working from home, you're kind of, you can feel like isolated a bit. And so everything you do, you kind of want to overshare and you want people to know like, okay, this is what I did and this is why it's important. And when that's recognized, it kind of just helps you get reminded that you're part of the team and that sort of thing. And so I think that recognition is big. And also recognizing what other people do is important too. So like if someone from my team does something and they put a lot of work into it, I don't want to just be like, oh, it's good, and then move on. Like I want to say, okay, thanks for doing this. Like I know it was a pain to do, but you did great getting your thoughts out. Like I like this part, I like that part. Like, so letting them know you respect, you read it and you've done things. Like I think that's a great thing to do because everybody's little parts of their jobs are very important to them. And so acknowledging that you see what they're doing and they're putting effort, I think is great. Yeah, I mean, I might be the same as you. I think respect is big as well. So if somebody disagrees with me, I like to say, okay, why are you, what are the reasons for it? Okay, here's my point of view. What's your point of view? And then in the end, like we can come to an agreement and, they value what you do and you value what they do. And I think that's all very important.
Yeah, and you don't always have to be best friends, nor do you always have to agree. But as long as there's that respect, that professional courtesy, if it happens to slip into something bad, of course, there's the chain of command and the controls and protections that we have as employees of an established company. But I've worked in small businesses where the person that I would complain to is the very person who's riding me and ready to bite my head off. So it's nice that we've gotten to a point in our careers that we can be with a company that's big enough to have a hierarchy and have representation. But let's say 16, 17, 20 years ago, if you were just working away at a desk and you felt a conflict coming on, how did you deal with it back then?
That's tough. I probably would have maybe taken it more personal and been like, hey, this is my point of view is correct and this is definitely the way to go, and like been more adamant about it. But it's all about like, is this the hill you want to die on? And I kind of feel like if people I work with have opinions that are different from mine and they have a reason for it, you just have to let it go. Like I think that they're probably right in the fact that they have their own opinions different, but they thought it out. And so you have to trust them and they have to trust you. But yeah, back in the day, I think I probably would have more strong-willed, like, no, we really should do this way. This is crazy. Why are we not doing this? Which is not the best thing. I think you have to kind of realize that, these are jobs and everybody wants to contribute. And so if people have different opinions and they have reasons for it, you sometimes have to put your pride aside and just kind of go with it. I've found that a lot of times when that happens, their ideas end up being better than yours. Like, actually, there was a reason why they had this kind of opinion. So you might as well trust it.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some. And you're talking earlier just sort of about the team and the sports analogy. Sometimes somebody gets a single and it's a sacrifice fly and it's not glory, but it got another across home base.
Yep.
And the team scored a point, and that might have been the key part of a game. So you're not always going to be the star up on everybody's shoulders. Sometimes you are a role player and you just kind of have to swallow hard and just say, okay, I'm not going to get my way, but tomorrow's another day.
Yeah. And also I think it's like when you're talking about like sacrifice flies, like which is a great baseball reference. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And like in terms of that, like if you're focused on the goals of the team, that's the main thing. And you all use that as like your North Star, then basically you're going to be successful and your team's going to be successful because you're doing everything to help the bottom line. And you can't really go wrong in that aspect if you use that as like your guide, like, okay, we're having a debate, but in the end, like, how is this going to help the team? How are we going to move forward? Like, what do we want to happen? That sort of thing is very important. And that's actually something that at Everflow that we're big on, is that we want to make sure we're doing everything we can to help our team win, so to speak. People are doing the little things behind, whether like we go to a conference, there's SDR people sending out invites to meet people, there's salespeople closing deals, there's customer success people helping the clients get started, and everybody's kind of contributing for the bottom line. And it is a team effort. But yeah, if you're focused on the team, that always, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, for sure. So as the title of the podcast hints at, what do you wish somebody would have told you to be more successful or at peace in your career? Not exactly today, but just sort of in general. What's something that you kind of wish you would have known?
I would say going every day and putting your best effort in. And if you do that, a lot of the stuff you're concerned about or your career will take care of itself. I think that's something I wish that kind of, I think, would help people relax more, thinking like, okay, if how am I going to get to this level? How am I going to do that? Like, if you just put in a good effort and you have the skills, you're hired for a reason at these different places. Like, you put in your best effort, you're trying to grow, and you rely on just your abilities and kind of get in there, and it will sort itself out. I think that's something that, I don't think I realized, I was thinking like, well, how, what's the fastest way to get to this? Or am I working enough at home, or should I do more or do less? Like, there's all these levels to it. But like, I think that going in and saying, okay, you can put your best effort in every day, the rest will take care of itself. So I think that's one thing. Yeah, I wish I would have known. And hard work will always kind of shine through. Like, it will always resonate with your employers. You get noticed. You'll get your due. It will be maybe slower than you'd like, but you'll eventually be discovered for your skill set. So I think patience is big on that one as well too.
Yeah, I found a lot of times, especially the high level executives, they're watching more than we give them credit for. We think, okay, they're dealing with the big ticket issues or the 30,000 foot view stuff, but they're watching, they're listening, they're observing. And as long as we can still be effective and show grace under fire, I think that that really goes well with our reputation. So we were talking a little bit a minute ago about sort of the pace of your development. So you seem to be somebody who's on one side of this rather than the other, but I'll ask it anyway. So would you rather have fleeting but very lucrative success, or slow, deliberate growth?
I think I'd rather be slow, deliberate. I think that's the way to go. In the affiliate space, you see a lot of people who are the individual marketers, and they all of a sudden they have all this money, and they're buying fancy cars and they're these watches, and all these things, but then the next month, they're down to zero. And like, I think just going slower is the way to go, and kind of really getting to know something and really getting to like be an expert in it is the way to go, because you teach yourself a skill set that you can use later on. Like, if you're in the affiliate space, a lot of companies will just want to hire you just because that's such a rare experience type, and same with things like SEO, same with things like, writing for business, things like that. Like, these are things that once you learn the skill set, you can use it for other things, and you always have something you can draw on. Yeah, like the quick success is great. I'd rather have something I can use and fall back on. And
yeah, a deep level of career experience. One of the things that everybody's dealing with now, especially in the marketing world, is the prevalence of AI, and it's just sort of the topic du jour. Everybody's just kind of beating like a dead horse. But I think I can do what I do and think how I think, even when the power goes out. And it doesn't matter if I have Wi-Fi, if I have power, I can do my work regardless of connectivity. And that's going to be
Yeah.
one of those key points. AI is always limited by connectivity. We, in our minds, we're endless. We can sit down and write another book, about our jobs or our pursuits. But AI is reliant, is even as much as people want to think it's just going to be this uncontrollable, monster in the future. We as humans still have the benefit of that knowledge that, aside from any kind of catastrophe, nobody else can take that away.
Yeah, the AI stuff, I feel it's so limited too by the prompts. You have to enter a certain prompt to get things to happen. And I never use it for any writing stuff because I feel like I'm faster than it. Like I know what I'm, like you're talking about connectivity, like I know what I want to say and I can just do it. I don't have to ask for, give me a compelling sentence or something. I'll just draw on my experience. And yeah, I think that it also is a differentiator too. Like if you rely on that, the work you do is sometimes on the creative side, it's limiting. It's not authentic. You're missing out. You're kind of missing the big picture. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and in the third-party agency space, there's the importance of being able to match the voice of the company that you're representing. So you can have a veterinary clinic over here and a froyo place over here. There's going to be a whole different type of language and approach and sort of voice to the audience that you won't be able to train a ChatGPT agent to be able to genuinely speak in the voice of a company that that you've sold, that you worked with for 5 years. You know how they like things said and done. That's unmistakable.
Yep.
So when it comes time to close the laptop lid for the last time and put your status to do not disturb retired, what do you see you and your wife doing for fulfillment?
In terms of a retirement, I definitely think that I'd love to work at like a baseball stadium as like usher or something, and talk to the people, help them find their seats, that sort of thing. Talk about the stadium, and I think that would be a fun job. I know my dad; he wanted to work at a movie theater. That was like his retirement goal. He didn't get to do that, but that was like his, after being in like the financial space for a long time, that was like his goal to do. And so, yeah, I think something like that would be fun to just get out there and a different set of skills. Like right now, there's so much like I'm in front of a laptop all the time. I'm constantly thinking and I like to be more, reactionary and talk to people and kind of see what they have to say and experience the outside world more. So I'm thinking that in the future, that would be a nice retirement option.
Yeah, it's the great thing about you. You're a fast friend. So, I mean, you probably would walk down the concourse and in the span of about a minute already have somebody watching out for you next time they come through and introduce their kids to you, and you catch a foul ball for them or something. I can see that.
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I feel you're the same way. So that's why we got together like a house on fire. I don't know if that is that an expression. I think.
Yeah. Let's make an expression.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, that's totally true. And, this is all about kind of everybody has a unique story to tell. And it's always interesting to talk to people and see what's different about them, what their philosophies are. And that's one of the cool things I like about, going to conferences is that you get to talk to people and they're related, in your space to do the same thing, but they have whole different points of view. So you talk to them and they're like, hey, in Amsterdam, this happens. Or, did you know that like in our state, this is how we do things and this is different. And it's interesting to see that kind of stuff. And it also kind of helps you break out of the traditional business, small talk bubble, which is like, how's the weather? What's it?
Where are you from?
It's how's the weather all the time. Yeah. And how's the weather, which is a natural thing. And we discussed the weather today, but how's the weather? How's the local sports team? How's the famous food item from there? Like, it's nice to change these things up and you learn a little bit about people that way too.
Yeah, I've got a good library of icebreaker questions that I used when I went to a trade show, and people always, you can see their wheels turning. It isn't just like, so you enjoying the show? Sure. And they're just keep on eating.
Yeah.
But I ask an interesting and engaging question, and next thing you know, 20 minutes later, we're still talking. And then all of a sudden there's these cross conversations going, and it just becomes this interesting soup of people sitting at a table, complete strangers, on the lunch break of an event where they're usually probably then just staring at their phones or kind of staring off into space. Some people want to be seen and some people don't, but the ones that do, it's fun to kind of get to know them.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's, it's always enjoyable to do that. It also kind of shows that you value them as a person. They're not just like a business transaction. You want to see what's going on with them, what their experience in life is like, what sort of thing is interesting. So I'm fortunate right now to work with a lot of people from a lot of different areas. And so, yeah, it's nice to hear what they're up to, what their experiences are, how different world events are affecting them. We have a lot of people right now in Florida, so they had all the hurricane stuff and, how are they preparing for that, what the status is there. There's just so many different things and different ways to get to know people. And yeah, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah. Make a conscious effort to make what do you do for a living about the third or fourth question that I end up asking somebody, because that's just the standard thing. And it's that nice difference, that thing we were talking about earlier that makes you memorable. And if I ask this question, they could use that same question at a cocktail party, or they go to their husband or their wife's Christmas party and there's a lull in conversation. Boom, drop this question up. So speaking of talking and getting to know, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, maybe ask for some advice as an affiliate marketer, or just kind of get to know you a little bit better, what's the best way for somebody to do that?
You can, a couple different things. You can email me at tony@everflow.io, or if you want to add me on LinkedIn, I think it is LinkedIn Tony C. Cohn, I think is the official address, and it's Cohn is spelled Cohn. And you can totally hit me up there. I'm happy to share any advice and connect you to anybody that I may know that may help you out. Also, if you just want to chat, like if people are like, hey, is this thing cool to go to, or is this company, have you heard about them? I know somebody who works there or something. I'm happy to give advice. And yeah, just like we were talking earlier about being more like a human being, I'm happy to just break out that business mold and help any way I can.
Nice. Yeah, I'll make sure to put links in the description to your email address and your LinkedIn profile. So thank you again for taking time to enlighten us with your experience and sharing some inspiration. This has been Troy Vera from the WIWHK podcast. Join us again, and we appreciate your time. Wish I would have known.